Hi, you have decided to take visual communication from me this summer online, no less. Already we have two or three things going against us here because we have a ton of information to get through, 15 weeks crammed into a 7-week summer semester. And I have frozen, so let me unfreeze. I'm back. Fascinating. Visual communication. And being online, that's might be different for some of you, and you might not be aware of how Canvas works or might lack the discipline to go through and do an online class. I'm going to help you out with that here over the course of the semester. And another thing is you got to work in a group online for the last two assignments for this class. And for a lot of people, that trips you up, especially since you're not meeting face to face. Most of you are doing it through Canvas online. So let me get into the content of this class, the syllabus and the activities and things that way, and some philosophy, and then I'll finish up with ways that maybe we can help you out here in terms of what's going on. I'm glad to have you along for the ride here as it begins on the 25th of June. So I'm going to get out here and go to the syllabus, actually go to the Canvas class. It defaults to this home page where you will find this video. That's a little meta-communicative. I'm going to go to the syllabus here and get into what's going on. If you're a comm major, you've had me before, you've heard everything I've talked about here in terms of program learning outcomes. These are the ideas that drive us as a degree and that drive the student learning objectives we have for each class. So from theory, research, content creation, which we'll be doing a lot of here, critical thinking, analysis, and global perspective, all these go through and drive then the student learning objectives here, okay? So we're going to get into understanding the transactional model, how communication happens visually that way, in the perceptual process, and how that goes through and maybe changes the way we see things. Excuse me. We'll get into categorizing visual communication effects in affective, meaning the feely part, cognitive, the thinky part, and psychomotor responses, the doing part of what it is that we do. We'll get into type styles, the oldest visual communication influence that's out there. We'll get into contrast. We'll get into the grammar, into the vocabulary of design. We'll make some applications of Gestalt principles and understanding all that kind of stuff. This is here, it's in cement, and it's what drives everything we're going to be talking about. And along with your activities, like what you're going to find here in the item pool. We have the visceral response, contrast, harmony, and balance, the design analysis, compose your frame, the visual communication artifact, and collaboration on design. Okay, you'll see that each one of these has they're linked, and if you click on them, it'll go out to the actual rubric for that activity. And within the rubric, then you could read what outcomes that's tied to, the activity is tied to, a description of what it is that I want you to do, and how you will be graded for that particular activity. Pretty straightforward, right? You'd think this would be a no-brainer, and yet, at least the metrics data show me that you're not reading the rubrics. Read the damn rubrics. It just makes life so much easier for you and for me in terms of how it's graded. But at least there you know what's expected. Now, some rubrics might, every rubric hopefully will raise some questions for you, and that's cool. Ask me then the questions. Let's get it clarified. But doggone it, just read the rubrics. They're there for you to reach the acuity, the aptitude, the competencies of what we're trying to develop with these skills. And then you're going to apply these skills the last 2 weeks of the semester in developing your own visual communication campaign. Yeah, I'm expecting you to actually create something. You don't have to be artistic. You don't have to possess some gnarly Photoshop, Adobe skills. I don't care about that stuff. What I do care about is that you understand how design works, what is bad design, what's good design, and why that design goes through and affects us cognitively, affects us emotionally, and gets us to go through and do something. Okay, pretty straightforward. So let's see, I stopped off at read the darn rubrics. Okay, go back. So like I was saying, you'll see that each of these is tied back to their own specific rubric. I'm going to open up the last idea here, which is your collaboration on design rubric. And this is really a culmination of everything you're going to learn within this class. And I'm using within this an example from previous students who did this remarkable campaign for Whiptail Biking Company, which is a fictional campaign, by the way. But they give you a great example of what it is that I'm looking for. It's a great artifact to take a look at. And there's a link to this within this material. And as we start learning everything it is that we're trying to get into, you'll see it very adequately executed within Whiptail's campaign. A disclaimer. I'm recording this in my garage. It's a place where I have the best control of the light, and that's what you get for having a photographer for a teacher. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the best control for sound, and today happens to be garbage day, so the garbage truck's going to come along here. I hear it down the street. It's going to come along here in a few minutes, so bear with me as we try to get through that noise. And from time to time, one of my golden retrievers will come up and want a little affection from me, and I'll never turn them away, so we might be interrupted a little bit there. All right? Okay, back to the syllabus on Canvas. All right. Read through the syllabus. The main thing, well, there are lots of main things here. Here's the deal about this class being online. I found in teaching this for the last 4 or 5 years that there are 3 default attitudes that students get into. That online is easier, that online means that you can take shortcuts, and that online means that you can write like you text. Well, you can't. Let me address these 3 really quick while the garbage truck is getting ready to come by. First off, online is easier. I'm finding a lot of students don't have the discipline to go through and execute what's happening online. They think it's easier, and so they'll wait till the 5th or 6th week to go through and actually do all the assignments and try to catch them up, and they fail. They fail because they procrastinate. They fail because they don't go through all the material before they try to get involved with the rubrics, with the content. Which leads me to point number 2. You can't take shortcuts with this. And I get that. I understand. I would go through and click on the activity or the assignment first, see what's expected of me, and then go back and look at the video and see what kind of content I could take from the video and pull into the assignment and do the assignment. It's the quickest way to go through and do it. It's like you've ever written an essay, you've written the essay, and then you go back and write the outline, right? Yeah, we've all done that at some point. Don't do that here. You need to go through all the content, all the video. I have painstakingly created a lot of video clips. They're short enough to hold your attention span, but interesting enough to go through and get the content that you need to make it understandable and to make it so you can execute it. And the rubrics are going to ask you, here it goes, ready? You can see my dogs out there too. Okay, enough of that. Fortunately, today is not recycle day, so we only have to do 1 can. All the content has been painstakingly created to go through and help you out. And like I was just saying, you are going to either critique or create content depending on what it is that we get into. So photographically, in terms of layout, in terms of font, in terms of, and eventually you'll get into web design. There's a number of different ways, a number of different formats, forms, disciplines, domains, that's the word I'm looking for, that will study individual communication design. Lastly, don't write like you text. I won't accept it. If I start reading your post and you're reading like you're texting me, I'm not going to accept it. And I'll put a note back to you and saying, sorry. All I'm expecting here is your best. This is a senior level university class. I'm expecting your writing to be apropos that way as well, that you use proper grammar, proper vocabulary, including the vocabulary of design that we'll be talking about within this. If you're a film major, if you're a journalism major, if you're a TV broadcast major, all of this is fundamental, foundational types of stuff that will help you be better communicative, will help you better communicate there visually with what it is that we're trying to do and trying to get our messages across. Even from a nonverbal standpoint, we'll talk about that here. So those 3 things you better not do. 1, don't think this is easy. 2, don't skip content. Okay, make sure you get through it all. And 3, don't write like a text. It drives me nuts. Okay, all right. Let's see. Go back to this thing. And that's all been written out here in Being Online. And you have, I won't go through the rest of this. You can read it. Please read the rubric. Read the whole rubric. And you'll see if you've had classes from me before, there's going to be some familiar jargon in there, but just get through and read it. And if you have questions, you can get to me. And speaking of questions and the discussion posts here, I have a post up called There Are No Stupid Questions. You've heard me say before that I am much more interested in your questions than I am in the answers. You could find all the answers you want on the internet. Really, the way for me to assess whether or not you've critically engaged and you are understanding the concepts that we're talking about is how you question, how you your analysis of them, how you question design. That's where it happens. So if you have specific questions, I want you to post them on that discussion post, right here on this discussion post. And if it's on an assignment, if it's on theory, if it's on another designer, if you're searching for an opinion on your own design, whatever, I don't care, put them there so we can all see and benefit from your query, and we can maybe all chime in on the answer. And I get that maybe you might be a little on the shy side, or might feel silly that you don't understand a part of a rubric, and so you're going to go through and not post that question because for whatever reason. Well, then email me. Okay, email me through the Canvas email conversations thread, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I keep track of all my classes 2 or 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night, and sometimes in the middle of the night, and I will go through and respond to you. I'll respond to your emails. I'll respond to the discussion posts that come up on Just Ask on this discussion post. Some of you try to reach me through my dixie.edu. It's young@dixie.edu is my campus email. I get thousands, I have tens of thousands of unanswered emails on there because of the amount of spam I get through there every day. So chances are your email is going to get lost there. So I'd much rather that you use the Canvas email to get a hold of me. Okay, it'll be better to do so. Lastly, there are no excuses, really. This is an online class. Well, that means you don't have to go to class. You're not going to walk into the Hazy 121, sit down, and wait for me to put something up on the projector, and my foot's falling asleep, and have some questions. It's not a class like that, in case you haven't figured that out. And you might be thinking, Eric, but there are some students who are still wondering why I'm not there. It's because we're here online. And online means anywhere you've got a Wi-Fi signal, or it means anywhere you've got a cell phone signal. You don't have to have Wi-Fi. If you have an iPhone, you have the ability to create your own hotspot. So there's no excuse for you to miss class, to miss what's going on a weekly basis. I'm not going to accept it. You miss it and you miss the assignment, that's it. Sorry. It won't be unrecoverable as far as a class goes, but you don't want to make a habit of that. I'll have students go through and email me and say, hey, I'm going to Mexico on a cruise, and so I'm going to be gone the third week of class. Have a good time. Enjoy a margarita or two on me, because if you don't show up for whatever it is we might be doing, and I'll be posting some surprise discussions along the way as we talk about new and interesting designs that are coming forward on a daily basis here. I'll expect you to chime in on those things. And if you're not there to do it, then you won't get the points or the consideration in terms of what's going on. So not having a signal, not being connected is no excuse. Okay, having to work, there will be something horrible that will happen to some of you, a death in the family. I'm not inhumane. I understand that some things need your attention. Talk to me, okay? But don't come to me and say, hey, I'm going up to Alaska on a road trip with my buddies, and I'm going to be gone the 4th week. I'll say, sayonara, have a good time, okay? We're in a new age of learning here, and you need to embrace that. I am set up in my truck with a satellite feed that gives me Wi-Fi anywhere I am. And I'm going to be traveling in some remote places. I'll also be on my motorcycle doing the same thing this summer. But I will always be in touch. I will always be watching you, posting on Canvas on Media 3516. All right, just to clarify it there, not to get a little... Okay, let's make sure I've gotten through everything that I need to get through here. The discussion. Let's get it through the protocol, how we'll do things. The first thing you need to do on every Monday is go to announcements, click on announcements, and you'll see week 1, week 2, week 3. They will post as the weeks go on. And within those posts, then, there will be links to the material that I want you to get into. And those links will link you right into each module for each week. See how that rolls? Okay. And then you can click on the module, the vocabulary design. Chances are that's going to get into a clip. Here we go. You click on the clip. Watch it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to watch the whole thing, right?
Or pretty soon attended the University of Oregon, where she got her degree in architecture. And we went up
that's
there
me.
the first,
You have to listen to me.
semester that
That's
she
the way it goes.
attended
Okay.
to kind of check things out a little bit. That's a Gordon.
Boy, that video is already outdated. Anyway, you get the idea. So those modules then have all the content for that week. There's week 1, week 2, week 3. You can't see this because I haven't released this yet. And each week is released on the Monday of that week. And when that happens, that's when you're going to go to the announcements tab, click on week 1. It's not up there yet because I haven't done them. And then follow the shortcuts and do the activities and then do the assignment for the end of the week. It's pretty simple, right? I tried to make this easy for you. Sometimes it might not be a video or a text post. It might be a video post where I'll walk you through that because I just don't have maybe the time to go through and write things. Or I'm having breakfast out in the middle of the Sequoia National Park or on the beach, riding my motorcycle on the Pacific Coast Highway, whatever the case might be. All right. So if you have any questions, you know where to find me. The class is pretty straightforward, the rubrics. I'll go through each one as we go through the semester. The main thing is if there are a number of individuals sign up for this class, you might want to start forming your groups a little early. If you have friends that you've had other classes with before or that you work well with, you might want to start looking at forming those groups. No bigger than 4, please. So once we get into the 5th week, you have 2 weeks at the end to go through and put together your collaborative visual communication campaign with your individual artifacts for each. This seems to be so incomprehensible for so many students that you are all individually, one person is going to make one artifact to go to a campaign that's being created by a lot of people, by 4 people maximum within a group that has certain communication objectives, and then it's all hosted on a single website, which one of you is going to go through and design. And we'll go through that more as we go. I'm frustrated with that assignment because last semester, man, people just crashed big time with that, and they really had a hard time with it. Semester before that, I got the best work I've ever seen. So, who knows? That's just a little weird to me as it goes. All right, enough of that. I'll let you get out of here. Notebook for the class. All the content is curated on this Canvas page, okay, because things change. We'll get into communication arts. You might want to take that look at that as a website. I think I have a link to that somewhere here within this content as it goes. All right, so for Marianne and Ginger, my dogs, and myself, I'm Eric Young. Welcome to class to visual communication, and we will be seeing you online. All right, ciao.